Lobbies and gentlegrams, in today's episode of the Aka Gigantic, Gram gargling a egregious elephant, fondling the freaky frontliner of the OVHO operation, we will take a look at how the whoppingly wide whopper-sized saddler of Drake's sack, Big Mac Akademiks, a man who damaged a vast dash of friendships and connections and can no longer coast the West without immense protection, the perpetual puff pastry polisher, the McDonald's grimace monster may never stop, blazing Drake's head top and disrespecting hip-hop. Now, Lobbies and gentlegrams, first drop a subscribe and like, and let's unpack how Big Mac Akademiks rides the BBL buffoon like a bike. So as I'm sure you guys have seen on the 1 year anniversary of the Drake and Kendrick beef, we got a very interesting debate between two completely opposite sides of the spectrum, DJ Head and Maul. DJ Head, who has been a DJ for West Coast legends like Glasses Malone, who has worked with the TDE camp for over 18 years and has known Kendrick for almost 2 decades, was facing off against Maul, who claims to have only been friends with Drake for the last 2 years, but has been an active glazer of the gaveling gram for a very long time, and it became more and more evident how delusional he truly was throughout the Drake and Kendrick beef. What do both of these two figures have in common? Well, they are both very hated by DJ Big Mac Akademiks. We're not going to focus on Maul as much, but we will get down to the nitty gritty of why DJ Akademiks does not like DJ Head. And if you like me, again, then like and subscribe. Now, chapter 1, the calm before the storm. So, before all this beefing and buffoonery, Big Mac Akademiks and DJ Head actually started off kind of being friends. On the night that the Heart Part 6 drops, Akademiks is on stream and he calls up DJ Head for a conversation about where the beef was about to go. Remember, at this time, both Drake and Kendrick were dropping diss tracks back to back against each other night after night. We didn't necessarily know that the Heart Part 6 would be the last we heard of this entire battle, but DJ Head claimed to have had it on good authority that this would be the end. Phone calls were made and it was established that no more diss tracks would be sent out, even though Kendrick did claim to have 5 more in stock.
Do you think this is over?
Yes.
I heard you say that on the Instagram live. Why?
Like I said on my live, I have it on a good authority that it's a wrap, and he lost and he's cooked.
Okay, what does that mean? Does that mean he's not going to respond?
That means that exactly what I said. Quote it verbatim. He's cooked, he lost. That's what that means.
Now, on a side note, 2 things. I love how DJ Head says, Drake is not going to respond and he's cooked, and Akademiks takes that as, well, what do you mean? What, Kendrick's not going to diss him anymore because Drake had the last laugh with the Heart Part 6? But it's like, we broke that whole record down in a previous video. You guys can check that out on the page. It was very obvious that that song was Drake waving the white flag. He literally says it word for word in the track, I don't want to diss you anymore. This stuff has me second guessing. There was nothing new to respond to. The Heart Part 6 was simply Drake responding to Not Like Us and trying to defend himself against those PDF claims, right? And those are going to play an important role in this story between DJ Head and Akademiks very shortly. But I also wanted you guys to take a look at this ranking system that Akademiks had at the time of all the diss tracks, right? He had Like That with Future and Metro Boomin being the better song or the better diss versus First Person Shooter. But then he had Push-Ups at the time over Euphoria, which is hilarious in retrospect because Euphoria ended up being his most played song of 2024 on Spotify. Yes, Akademiks was really listening to Euphoria out of any other song of that entire year. He also had 616 in LA being ranked higher than Tailor Made Freestyle. He did have Family Matters over Meet the Grams. Very different songs. It's kind of hard to rate them, but I'd give the upper hand to Meet the Grams just because it was a way more scathing diss track. And then obviously at the time, he was unable to decide which song would be the better diss, Not Like Us or the Heart Part 6. I think it's fair to say that we can kind of give that one to Not Like Us at this point, right? And that would make Kendrick the winner in this battle according to Akademiks' rankings, right? Because at this point, he gave 2 points to Kendrick for Like That and 616, and he gave 2 points to Drake for Push-Ups and Family Matters, which is an absolute crock of BS, even according to his own Spotify listening statistics. So I just thought it was funny to share that with you guys. But now we move on to chapter 2, and here is where things get interesting. So basically, a couple months later, in August of 2024, DJ Akademiks hears from his sources that Kendrick is about to drop an album. This would turn out to be true, but only a couple months later in November. Again, we're in August. So DJ Head basically tweeted out that Kendrick doesn't speak to anyone, especially not Akademiks, essentially invalidating Akademiks' claims that new Kendrick music was on the way. And Akademiks did not take kindly to the fact that DJ Head questioned his legitimacy as a news reporter, so he got on live and did the second thing he does best. The first thing is guzzling Big Macs, the second thing is talking crap.
DJ Head, I'm the greatest single journalist you've ever heard of. I want to put that out there. I built a 20 plus million industry by doing this shit. I played Drake's video and Drake had to ask me, how'd you get it? When I tell you something came from, or something I know when it comes to Kendrick or whatever, I don't give a fuck who Kendrick is. Akademiks is the greatest single journalist you've ever heard of. You could be fucking Kendrick. If I said it, that's what it is.
So you heard the man. DJ Head could be sleeping with Kendrick. Akademiks doesn't care. His information will always be the most accurate. Even though we'd come to find out that Drake was feeding Akademiks fake information when it came to some DMs that leaked, but I have a whole separate video on that. Drake's history of bullying Akademiks. Maybe I'll leave it in the description. But anyways, Akademiks doubles down on DJ Head, saying that he glazes Kendrick in order to get close to the source, but Akademiks is happy that he's getting his information instead from the labels, the ones doing the rollout, and has no emotional ties to the actual artist. Even though you'll see later in this video, he uses his close communication with Drake to validate the fact that Drake is ready to fight Kendrick Lamar in a boxing ring. Even though, again, Drake has been exposed for lying to DJ Akademiks, and Akademiks then reporting fake information to the world.
Let me be clear. I don't need to talk to the artist. All y'all suck dick. Y'all sit there and be like, oh, the artist is cool with me. I'm glad when I don't talk to Drake. You know why? I'll go get the shit. I'm going to talk to the label, the distributor. So when I say some shit, I don't give a fuck about talking to Kendrick. If I leak a Jay-Z news, I don't got to talk to Jay. Never have, never probably will, and don't care. But it will be accurate.
So now we get into chapter 3, DJ Head's response. Now, Head took an interesting approach, right? Because instead of tearing the head off of Akademiks, no pun intended, he led with love, I guess you could say, and emphasized that he's actually proud of the platform that Akademiks has built up. And he understands that Akademiks was responding because Head did question the validity to the claims Akademiks was making about a new Kendrick album being on the way.
Said he eated you, DJ Head. How you feel about that, man?
I received that. I didn't have to do that. So his response is warranted, I guess.
It also feels like you saying he's a Drake guy, so stay on that side, you know?
No, there was no underlining innuendos, but I'm going to say something to not just Akademiks, but there are people that do what he does. I'm going to say something to these individuals that they probably have never heard in their adult life since they've had an internet connection. I'm proud of you, bro. I'm proud of you.
But Head also asks DJ Akademiks and anyone with a platform who has amassed a large audience an interesting question.
You've amassed a following, you've made it, you're number one or wherever you fall on the list. My question is, what do you plan to do with that? How many people do you plan to empower with your platform or this fortune that you've amassed? How many people do you plan on putting on? How many people do you plan on not disseminating the same thing that's been done to you onto them? When does someone use their platform to benefit anyone other than themselves? So I would just encourage everyone to use their platforms wisely, and it doesn't last forever. And if any of you ever want a hug, I'm available.
And I think that's important, right? I mean, ever since we saw Akademiks start, yes, he has broken down a lot of boundaries in terms of independent hip-hop media, right? Being able to just hop on a stream or make YouTube videos and actually gain a voice in terms of giving your opinion on music, different stories related to artists, to the point where artists even want to interact with you. That wasn't really a thing before, Akademiks came around with his YouTube and his Twitch wave. And I definitely give Akademiks credit to that. If you guys don't remember, Akademiks had actually reviewed one of my videos, the Not Like Us music video breakdown, months ago, and he had shouted me out, and I used that as the outro to my videos for a very long time. Drop a comment if you were watching Rapaholics way back then.
There's a lot of little nuggets in both of their disses that if it wasn't for these breakdowns, and salute to, guys like this, Rapaholics, because I think they directly get it.
And I use that as the outro because that was the first large voice in hip-hop media that has ever acknowledged, the work that I've put in to this channel. And I was proud of it because, and I left this comment on Akademiks' page, while we disagreed on many things, the one thing I could not deny was that he was a major inspiration in terms of his sheer ambition, his sheer work ethic when it came to making sure he was on stream every night, reporting and documenting every exciting moment in hip-hop at all times and always remaining true to his opinion. Now, that definitely changed over the years because, as we saw, he'd get to delusionally glazing Drake throughout this entire year, and then we'd come to find out that he was actually listening to Kendrick's music more than he was Drake's when his Spotify Wrapped got leaked. So I definitely question his integrity and his honesty at this point in time, but there was, again, no denying the fact that he paved the way for a lot of independent creators in this space, and he doubled down on his work ethic. The reason for me why I removed that outro from my videos was because of the incident that he had with that 15-year-old kid on Discord a couple months ago. That to me was drawing the line, and I said, all right, the war in Chirac stuff, that was terrible, but honestly, I didn't really know Akademiks for that, right? And I took his shout out as more of a testament, the work that I was putting in, and saying, if the guy who has one of the hardest work ethics within hip-hop media or commentary or whatever you'd want to call it, if he could acknowledge that I'm also putting in a lot of work, I was definitely very thankful and humbled by that. And I used that outro as kind of like a source of motivation for any of you guys, really, if you wanted to start YouTube channels, right? That it's not too far-fetched to think that you could be interacting with some of the biggest media personalities in the space if you just follow your passion. But I'm kind of going on a tangent here. Essentially, when he did that weird stuff in the Discord with the 15-year-old, I said that was drawing the line for me personally. I don't want that name to ever be associated with what I'm doing here, right? And I think Head is making a separate point here, but I think it kind of ties into my thought process as well. When you have such a massive audience, when you've built such a big platform, when you have all these accomplishments, what are you actually doing with it, right? Are you using it to spread positivity? Have we ever seen Akademiks actually put anyone on aside from himself or whoever's running that propaganda Twitter account that spews a bunch of hate and negativity constantly? We'll touch on that later in this video. I don't think so, and I think he purposely, due to his own ego and narcissism, keeps himself and his image at the forefront of his brand because he's gotta, like he said, feel like he's the greatest journalist of all time. He wants to feel like he is number one, and it's a big F you to everybody else. He's emphasized this multiple times before. And when someone takes a single shot at him, even when he's leading with love like DJ Head was here, Akademiks goes on a mission, a narcissism, ego-fueled mission to make sure he gives you hell and you never hear the end of it. So that's where we get into Chapter 4, the DJ Akademiks and DJ Head War. So, obviously, two of Snackademics' biggest ops, Maul and DJ Head, got together for this debate to discuss the 1-year anniversary of the Drake and Kendrick beef and reflect on all the diss tracks. One of the most controversial moments of the debate was Maul trying to argue that tailor-made freestyle using Tupac's AI vocals in that song was not taking things too far, but instead, calling Drake a PDF under false pretenses was the thing that took things too far. Now, I've addressed this in a past video, right? Tailor-Made came out before Euphoria. On Euphoria, Kendrick said, "This could be a friendly fade, we should keep it that way. If you take it there, I'm taking it further, that's something you don't want to do." It wasn't Tailor-Made that pushed Kendrick to the edge to drop the bomb that was Not Like Us. It was the fact that Drake then went on to drop Family Matters, where he would make heinous allegations about Kendrick's family, about Kendrick himself being an abuser, a cheater, Whitney and Kendrick's manager Dave Free having a kid, Kendrick raising it. These were the allegations that led Kendrick to drop Meet the Grams and Not Like Us. This is what took things from friendly fade to a ferocious F-up. All Tailor-Made did was make Kendrick's bars that much more powerful on Not Like Us, where he rapped, "You think the Bay gon' let you disrespect Pac," right? That wasn't the song that made Kendrick say, "Okay, let me go all out, make the most egregious, outrageous allegations I could against Drake." It was Family Matters that did that. All Tailor-Made did was show that Drake does not understand the significance of respect for legends within the culture, because he didn't simply use Tupac AI vocals on a diss track. He used Tupac's voice to spread a narrative that Tupac would have taken a certain side in this battle, that he would have been controversial, confrontational. Don't forget, Kendrick himself used Tupac's vocals on a song of his own, but it was to uplift. It was to discuss what you should do when you're in a leadership position, what you should fight for, and what you should hold restraint on. Listen to Mortal Man if you want more clarity. And the biggest point of it all is that Kendrick got permission from Tupac's estate to use his message, his voice, and his likeness. Drake did not get that same permission. So you could see there's various levels of disrespect here, right? But it's just disrespect to Tupac, to the West Coast, and to hip-hop. It's not specifically personal disrespect to Kendrick, right? And that's why on Euphoria, which dropped after that disrespect happened with Tupac, that is still when Kendrick said, this could be a friendly fade. this is not when he took things further. This is going to play an important role in Akademiks' whole narrative that he's trying to concoct to make DJ Head look bad in this debate. Essentially, he questions why Tailor Made alone was enough to have the West Coast say, morally, that's too far, right? In a rap battle, using Tupac's AI vocals, that is way too far. Akademiks is saying that's ridiculous.
So the reality of it is this, man. Y'all K-bots, and I ain't gonna lie, the pussy niggas like DJ Head, y'all won't admit the mere facts. If we're gonna say Kendrick won the battle, Not Like Us did a phenomenal job. I think that's the joint. But before we got there, y'all was galvanizing and trying to rally the entire coast against one man because y'all didn't think y'all had enough. That's the reality of it. So then when y'all come with these weird angles like, yeah, that's disrespectful. Pac ain't even from LA. What the fuck is y'all niggas talking about? And Snoop Dogg, the who also voiced he took, was over there like laughing with the shit.
Number one, Snoop Dogg wasn't laughing. He posted a video reacting to the song, extremely confused, and then months later, when Kendrick called him out saying Snoop posted Tailor Made, I prayed it was the edibles, Snoop said, you're right, it was the edibles. I messed up. He admitted that he apologized to Kendrick for even insinuating that he maybe could have been endorsing that disrespectful song. Also, no one said Tupac was from LA. Obviously, he grew up in Oakland. That's where the whole connection to the West Coast comes from. And honestly, at first, when Tailor Made first dropped, I also found it kind of a clever play on Drake's part in terms of, all right, like everyone thought my push-ups record was AI. We're getting all these AI diss tracks. Let me use AI in a way to rap from the perspective of these legends within hip-hop that Kendrick has voiced as being huge inspirations for him and almost act like I'm giving him a pep talk. But again, when you actually reflect on the lyrics in that song and the execution in it and the fact that he did not get Tupac's estate's permission to use the vocals, you could see here that there was definitely a tone-deaf layer of disrespect within this song. And the West Coast feeling disrespected over it is definitely justified. But here's where the levels of disrespect get taken up a notch, right? Akademiks, again, is claiming that the entire West jumped into this beef to unify over the fact that Drake was disrespecting one of their legends. But when it comes to violence within the city against some of their own, that level of outrage is never shown.
A lot of the reasons why some of the momentum went the way it did is because like the whole West Coast start like piggybacking on, oh yeah, we rocking with that. But y'all could just admit that. Like this whole thing about, oh, this is super disrespectful. Man, y'all don't got no fucking unity over there, man. Like cut that bullshit out. Y'all niggas killed Drake at a concert. And I don't hear none of y'all talk about that. Y'all got no loyalty and unity on the West. Y'all just all sucking one man who y'all think will help y'all, and he helped none of y'all. I don't know what the West Coast be talking about.
And this is just a horrible example, right? Like, I don't understand why Akademiks feels the need to jump into street-related stuff, right? When we're talking about a rap beef here. Maul and DJ Head kept this on rap, right? Street violence was not brought up once. And it's a very slippery slope when you do bring it up because you start putting the idea in people's heads that violent measures need to be taken for things that were said in a diss track. And you'll see that's what Akademiks tries to do very shortly. And even if you did want to entertain this crappy example with Draco the Ruler, there's a big difference between two rivaling gangs going at it and a horrible outcome coming of that versus one Canadian disrespecting a West Coast legend in a rap battle on a diss track and that entire coast riding for the artist in this rap battle who is going up against him, right? I mean, even Drake said in his own songs, my Montreal connect, stand up, not fall down, right? He's saying he's got Canada on his back riding for him. And we saw Rick Ross go to Canada and get in a fight with someone in the audience when he played Not Like Us. We saw Tory Lanez from a jail call sneak diss Kendrick and drop bars against him and whatever, right? Like, the whole point is that there's no double standard here. Canada was riding for Drake, West Coast was riding for Kendrick. Kendrick just made better diss tracks and their voice was louder. And this is coming from a Canadian myself, one who's not attached to any gang-related things, obviously. So when I hear rap beef being conflated with street violence, especially when you're riding for the side that's now following lawsuits over diss tracks, trying to compromise the integrity of free speech and creativity within lyrics, it pisses me off because basically you're trying to rip out any excuse in the book to make it seem like Drake was on some higher moral high ground in this beef just because there were some ugly allegations thrown out on Not Like Us and that the West was riding for Kendrick, right? again, listen to Family Matters if you want any proof that both of them took things very far. So this is what Maul and Head basically try to argue, and DJ Akademiks chimes in.
When people are like, oh, he used, Pac's likeness or he used Snoop's likeness and this, that, and the third. And it's like, bro, it wasn't that serious, though. He wasn't trying to make a living off of this song. And when people carry it that heavy, I'm like, bro, this was a battle, bro.
But to me, even your rebuttal screams to me that you don't understand. Where I'm from, that's disrespectful. It doesn't matter what the use case is. You don't violate the elders or the OGs.
Where was the violation at, though?
Why did they tell
Man, this is where the West Coast is also getting fucked up. This is hip-hop, man. This is baby mamas, kids. Everybody get violent. What are we talking about, OGs?
Now, what you guys will see shortly is that Akademiks completely contradicts himself, because on the one end, when it doesn't work in Drake's favor and he was disrespecting Tupac by using his vocals, then it's like all cards are off. This is a rap battle. You could say anything you want, right? But then when Kendrick calls him a PDF, no, that's when he gets taken too far, and this is usually when the streets intervene and violence happens. This is what it is, man. Like, Euphoria, again, I can't emphasize enough, dropped after Taylor Made. That was the warning shot where he said, if you take it there, I'm taking it further. He was implying that Drake had not then taken it too far, even with Taylor Made. The thing that was disrespectful about Taylor Made was not that he was saying anything crazy about Kendrick. It was just that he was using Tupac's likeness and voice to try to paint a narrative that Tupac would have thought a certain way, a controversial and confrontational way throughout this battle, right? And he did it without Tupac's estate's permission. He was disrespecting the dead with the messaging of the song, with the execution, with the fact that it's AI vocals, with the fact that he got no permission. It's very obvious why it was disrespectful, and enough for the West Coast to say, all right, this guy is acting like an outsider, right? Not enough for Kendrick to say, all right, let me go completely all out on this guy because he disrespected me personally, but for the Coast to feel like their legend was disrespected, I don't know how you don't see that, right? But Akademiks focuses heavily on this point, saying that all bets are off in a rap battle. Anyone could get disrespected, dead or alive, OG, whoever.
What are we talking about? They trying to bring like gang rules in this. Ain't nobody getting DP, nigga. You gotta go pull up on them and shoot him or do something to him. And we don't see that normally in rap battles when it comes to this level. We do see it in other rap battles, technically, I guess. Dolph, whatever. Anyway, the point is this. There ain't no fucking rules to this shit. Talking about, oh, you don't disrespect OGs. Yo, this is still talking about rules. Ain't no rules to this shit, bro. Everybody get this. You diss everybody. Everybody. Dead, live, your unborn kid.
But remember this logic that he's using, right? He's saying all bets are off. You could say whatever you want and anybody could get disrespected in any proportion. It doesn't matter. This is where it gets stupid, all right? So he's taking the disrespect that the West Coast felt from Drake, a Canadian outsider, using their legends' vocals to concoct fake narratives in a diss track, and he's trying to equate it to Nipsey Hussle, another LA legend, getting into an altercation, calling someone a snitch, and ultimately losing his life over it.
I can't stand hoes like this, bro. You care so much about disrespect, and put it like this. Let me say some real shit to the West Coast. This ain't gonna be at me. I'm gonna be at the Kendrick concert anyway. Y'all told my disrespect, but none of y'all would admit Nipsey got killed because of disrespect. He called a man a snitch and killed him over that. None of y'all be admitting that. This is what I don't like about y'all. Y'all be mad hypocritical. Nipsey got smoked because he called a snitch because he disrespected a nigga.
Now, it's sad that a white Canadian in his basement can understand the flaws in these arguments better than Akademiks could. Firstly, a minute before, Akademiks had said all bets were off in a rap battle, right? So disrespect thrown out the window. It doesn't matter. And you'll see in a clip I play you in a minute that now he's implying that Kendrick should face violent real-life repercussions for calling Drake a PDF in a rap battle. So right away there's a layer of hypocrisy. But even bigger than that is the fact that DJ Head clearly said here, right? Drake was disrespecting A, an elder, and B, someone who is no longer on this planet, to defend themselves and to come out and say, hey, this guy is misrepresenting my message. Because again, Drake used his voice, Tupac's voice, to spread a false message that Tupac cannot defend. That's very different than someone who, again, I can't really comment on street-related stuff, but obviously in the streets, snitching is a no-go. It's very different someone seeing someone who they perceive to be a snitch and calling them out on that versus disrespecting an icon, a music legend in a diss song. Again, this will probably be my 5th time mentioning it. Kendrick didn't even take Taylor Made as enough disrespect to go all the way. We still got Euphoria after that, which was the warning shot. So it shows you that Kendrick's in his mind was saying, all right, this guy is an outsider. He's an actor to this culture. He doesn't fully understand it, but him disrespecting a legend is not enough for me to take things all the way, but it is still disrespect nonetheless, and I expect the West Coast to unite on that fact. Nipsey Hussle getting into an altercation with someone who he believes does not have the same values as him and calling him out on that is a lot different than disrespecting the dead for no reason, right? Or using the dead's likeness and voice without their permission and spreading a false narrative. Should Nipsey have expected to face repercussions for getting into this altercation in the first place? That's not my place to necessarily say, but of course, if you're in an altercation with anyone, you should, definitely have your guard up for any repercussions. But to conflate this altercation over snitching and street-related stuff to a rap battle where one of them, Drake, was given a warning to not take it further and still took it further with Family Matters and then got called a PDF based off of rumors that had already existed on the internet, which ironically, a part of this whole thing is that he used Tupac's vocals to say, hey, talk about Drake liking young girls. He literally put the ammo in Drake's hand by disrespecting the West Coast legend, which we're all talking about here, right? You're saying Kendrick took things too far, but it was literally Drake on that record where he disrespected Tupac that he told Kendrick to use this as ammo against him.
So if Nipsey got killed because he called a nigga a snitch, what you think Kendrick? So if you talking about you can't disrespect OGs, a nigga got killed because he called a nigga a snitch. What about the nigga who's calling another nigga a pedophile? You don't think that's kind of like the same thing? That's not disrespectful? You could call a nigga a pedophile, but you just can't use a nigga voice that's dead.
I don't know. To me, this logic just seems so heavily flawed, right? What are you even trying to say here? Are you trying to say that the West Coast didn't tolerate disrespect when it came to Drake using Tupac vocals, but they did tolerate disrespect when it came to Nipsey calling someone a snitch? Again, I can't speak on street stuff, but it seems to be a violation of the ethics within the streets if you go on and snitch, right? Again, I can't speak on this stuff. This is just what I guess I've heard other people say, right? You can't snitch, right? So obviously in Nipsey's eyes, that's a violation of ethics when you decide to live a certain way. That's not disrespecting someone by calling them a snitch. If they were a snitch, it's simply stating a fact, as in you cannot come around here because you have violated the ethics, the codes that we live by. And a couple minutes before this, you were saying anything in a rap battle goes. So now you're saying him calling Drake a PDF was the line that took it too far, and now there should be real repercussions? Is that what Akademiks is implying here, that there should be real street repercussions for Kendrick calling him a PDF the same way there were repercussions to Nipsey in a physical conversation, not in a rap battle? Kendrick should face similar repercussions? What's the logic here? Is it that, Nipsey got his life taken for calling someone something way less severe than a PDF? I don't think anyone thought it was right that Nipsey got his life taken for that, right? I don't think anyone from the West Coast would tell you that that was justified. Again, I can't speak for people, but I mean, it's kind of obvious here, right? And especially the added layer that this was a rap battle where Drake had been the first one to take things further, and he was warned not to. He was the one who brought family involved, making heinous allegations about being an abuser. Obviously, Kendrick comes back with allegations that are much worse. This is what diss tracks are. Am I missing something here, or is Akademiks just trying to go against the point DJ Head was making in that it was disrespect to the elder, disrespect to the OG, and in that case, Nipsey faced repercussions for calling someone a name, so Kendrick should as well? That's what I'm getting from this. Is he saying the West Coast picks and chooses when they decide things are taken too far, or when they decide to value respect? Because again, I don't think it was disrespectful of Nipsey to call someone a snitch, right? He's basically telling the guy, you're not living by the same codes we are, but you're pretending like you're part of this ilk. It's very different than Drake disrespecting the dead, disrespecting a West Coast legend, and not expecting the entire coast to feel a certain way about it. But then we get into the real root of the problem, the real reason why Akademiks has so much hatred in his heart for Kendrick, for the West Coast, for DJ Head. And it's the fact that, again, DJ Head called him on his bluff in that Akademiks did not know what he was talking about months before this when he claimed that Kendrick had an album on the way, because he had no real connection to Kendrick, right? And he convolutes that, if that's the right word, the biggest Drake glazer, mind you, to say that this is all just DJ Head glazing Kendrick over the fact that he's emphasizing or explaining, DJ Head is explaining, that Kendrick said this should be a friendly fade and Drake did not keep it that way.
Friendly fade. Again, I've explained this ad nauseum.
DJ Head, the reason why we're so sick of you and we can't wait for people to be beyond this Kendrick sucking wave, y'all only gimmick is to suck Kendrick's If Kendrick cut a fart in a room, he would say, is that Tom Ford? I know sometimes y'all say, I'm glazing. Bro, y'all see me criticize Drake mad times. He make it seem like Kendrick's a whole genius. Well, Dot stuck to his word because, when he said a friendly fade, if you're from the neighborhood, a friendly fade. That's not what this is. They just rapping.
So then we get into DJ Head's response to this meltdown that Big Mac and Akademiks had in reaction to Maul and Head's debate. And he said, I remember hanging out in the first quad at school during lunch. I'd chop it up with my friends. I recall a certain individual always walking by looking at us with resentment. His energy wasn't the best because all he wanted to do was sit with us. He just could never gather the courage to say, hey guys, I'd love to participate in a genuine way. He used his insecurities and childlike mentality to fuel his pseudo-aggression towards us. Instead of leading with genuine intentions or even creating a table of his own, he made it his mission to create a space of contention and ostracized energy. I never respected this dude or his approach to obtaining acceptance. Little did I know the entertainment industry would be a parallel to the campus of Gar High School. And that's exactly what it looks like, right? Akademiks hates both Maul and DJ Head, and so he's reacting to this like a sad kid in high school who couldn't get a seat at the lunch table, yelling and kicking and throwing a tantrum, creating narratives that simply don't exist, drawing these false parallels, all for the sole reason that he is jealous of DJ Head's connection to the West Coast, to Kendrick, and that months before this, Akademiks was called out by DJ Head on his bluff. But it doesn't stop there. Now we get into chapter 5, the greatest meltdown alive. So, after this massive rant from Akademiks, we get a second rant from him, and this time he admits to the chat that he is indeed drunk. First, he goes off on DJ Head once again.
This whole ass nigga, DJ Head, the sucking person, lamest media personalities in hip hop. If we could throw them in a pit with Pluto, that Pluto could just eat them, it would be this bum ass nigga. He's the worst. Let me tell you this: not everybody that wear glasses is smart. Some of these just got eye problems.
And Akademiks tries to re-explain his logic about how Nipsey disrespected someone and suffer consequences. So don't you think Kendrick called Drake something worse than a snitch? Shouldn't, by that logic, he also face repercussions?
Everybody's rewriting history to say, who cares if Kendrick called Drake a pedophile? Like, it ain't that serious. Is that y'all same opinion on why that nigga killed Nipsey then? Because Nipsey called him a snitch. Y'all catch a period when Nipsey's name is mentioned. I get it. I love Nipsey. I have no problem. Let's call a spade a spade. I'm only bringing up Nipsey because I'm telling y'all, Nipsey got killed over him calling and labeling a man something that man objected to. And I think if I ask any reasonable person, what would you rather be called? A snitch or a pedophile? They'd probably all say snitch.
To be fair, he does emphasize he doesn't want anything to happen to Kendrick, but by trying to create these false equivalencies, you are drawing people to believe that consequences should be applied. You're instigating real-life violence without even deliberately trying to, and it's all, again, off the basis of your ego that you felt disrespected by DJ Head. You don't actually care that DJ Head felt disrespected about the tailor-made stuff or that he's, trying to say, through Kendrick's lens, disrespect was implemented, and that's when we got Not Like Us. You don't actually care about that, and if you did, you can make the argument again. Drake took things farther with Family Matters, and that's when we got Not Like Us. It wasn't because of tailor-made. But even without that, to compare an allegation in a diss song after the person who rapped it, Kendrick Lamar, got bad allegations thrown on him, to try to equate that to Nipsey Hussle telling someone in the streets that, hey, you don't align with our code of ethics, or I'm questioning your paperwork, and then that man retaliating with violence is a horrible equivalence, and again, just insinuates or implies that you expect violent retaliations over Not Like Us, or you at least think it would be justified.
What Kendrick levied and accused Drake of is something that is of the matter of life or death if you do this outside the confines of internet and supposedly a rap battle. We should all acknowledge this, so please, Gina Views or whoever else, stop the cap. It is not just, not a big deal.
And I mean, it's ridiculous because he puts rap battles in like air quotes as if this wasn't really just a rap battle and Drake was not the one, again, to take things further in the first place. And the irony of it all is that Akademiks is so caught up in this temper tantrum he's throwing over his dislike of DJ Head, trying to disagree with any point he makes because, again, he doesn't like the guy, that when he actually plays the clip of DJ Head speaking, he realizes that they are on the same page. Both of them agree that Drake was the one who initially took things further with Family Matters, which led to Not Like Us, and that's when it became serious.
It did get serious for the homie. It got serious for him because it was like, oh, there's a boundary here and you cross the boundary.
Right.
And
Okay. And you have DJ is saying that, well, Kendrick felt there was a boundaries that got crossed. Okay, cool. By the way, this ain't one-sided neither. Drake insinuating that man kids was by another man? Bro, somebody might want to knock your head off for that. I get that. So I'm not trying to say only Kendrick crossed the line. Drake crossed the line too.
The only key difference is that DJ Head, again, is not implying it should get further than a rap battle. Akademiks was the only one who brought violence into the equation. And he continues to do so where, in my opinion, I believe he's misreading what DJ Head's co-host Gina is saying here, but I could be wrong as well, because she uses the term fades, saying the fades were offered. What I think she's trying to say here is that they had a private conversation, Drake and Kendrick, before this rap battle ensued. And where she said the fades were asked for, I believe what she means is not were physical fades, like physical fights, asked for. I think she's trying to say, like, on their conversation before the rap battle kicked off, they said, all right, are the gloves completely off, or are we keeping this friendly? But again, because she uses the word fades, I think she's implying fades as in, like, Family Matters and Not Like Us and Meet the Grams level of, like, vile allegations thrown at each other, right? Not physical fades. But Akademiks takes it as in she's saying Drake and Kendrick had a conversation before and the fades were asked for, aka Kendrick was asking Drake, do you want to actually physically fight this out? I think what she meant was Kendrick was asking Drake, how far do you actually want to take this? Like, are all bets off the table? Is the fade going all the way?
The public doesn't know that there was an internal conversation. They don't know the phase was asked for. I don't even know if I was supposed to say that. But whatever, it's on the flow. Nigga didn't want to get down. Okay? So it's supposed to just keep it on the beats. It was supposed to just be about rap. But this is the line that you do not cross. And if you cross that line, then it's...
Hey.
But yeah, you guys let me know. What do you think she means by this? Is she talking about like a literal fight was asked for before this rap battle happened? Or is she talking about like, you know, Kendrick was saying, do you really want to take things far or do you want to keep things friendly? Things were supposed to be kept friendly and then they got taken too far. What exactly is she implying here? We'll get Akademiks' reaction because, of course, he's obsessed with bringing violence into this equation because he's at the comfort of his computer behind his camera without any repercussions being faced to him directly. But yeah, Akademiks goes on to profess that based off what he's heard from Drake directly, Drake is down for an actual fight.
I'll say this and I'll speak for Drake. Drake down to catch a fade. What's up? Let's keep it on the internet, right? Could one of y'all respond on behalf of Dot? Is he down to catch a fade? Because what she just said is categorically false. Drake ain't never ducked no fade. Don't say things that you're just kind of throwing out. We could line it up. He on tour. After tour, Drake, Kendrick, fade. I'll put my name on the line. So I'm speaking for him. And by the way, if Drake don't do it, now I'm a liar.
And I love how he says, like, Drake was the one who told him this, so he's putting his own reputation on the line speaking for Drake. When it's like the last time we saw this happen, when Drake fed Akademiks information and Akademiks reported it to the world, it was revealed that Drake was lying to him. It was cap. All right. Again, you guys can check out the link in the description for a history of Drake bullying Akademiks. Drake has lied to Akademiks plenty of times, and Akademiks will report it like it's true when it's complete cap. And he started off this whole thing saying, I don't need to talk to the artist, right? DJ Head, you have a connection with Kendrick. It doesn't matter. I'll still get my information from the labels. I'm the greatest journalist. I don't need to talk to the rappers. I'd rather not. I'd rather get my info from the labels, the one releasing the music. But then now he's trying to use Drake's name to say, nah, Drake is down for the fade. I don't know what you guys are talking about. And he goes on to reveal, more information that Drake told Akademiks. Because again, Gina and DJ Head here are basically implying Drake and Kendrick spoke before the beef. The quote-unquote fades were offered. They were denied. It was supposed to be friendly, keep it on the beats. Things got taken too far, and that's when things got serious. When she says fades, again, I don't know if she's talking about a physical fight or is she implying fades equals, diss songs as severe as Not Like Us, Meet the Grams, and Family Matters. Akademiks counters it to say, nah, Drake is down for the fades. Drake is down for a fight. And as a matter of fact, Drake and Kendrick never actually had a conversation. According to Akademiks, Drake told him that he has not spoken to Kendrick, even when he requested to have Kendrick on First Person Shooter with J. Cole, the song that started this whole beef.
Drake has had no conversation with Kendrick Lamar in relation to any of these things since before. Even when Drake was trying to get him on First Person Shooter, Drake never talked directly to Dot. So y'all know the story, right? Drake was trying to get Kendrick on First Person Shooter. He felt some type of way and didn't, like, oh, nah, I ain't really want to do it because me and you, blah, blah, blah. You know, you've been jealous of Drake for that long. Okay, cool. Then he hears the song and he's like, yo, y'all taking shots at me because I ain't get on the record. And that's why you realize that's why he did like that, right?
Then he goes on to blame J. Cole because J. Cole was the one who rapped on that song. Me, K-Dot, and Aubrey are the big three, right? Like J. Cole was the one who put that big three thing into the ecosystem, which triggered Kendrick to say, F the big three, it's just big me. And then J. Cole backed out of the whole thing, of course.
The real culprit in all this is really J. Cole, because Drake ain't never been number 2 and never been number 3. We never talk about Drake being number 3. But Kendrick was in his feelings like a girl because he heard First Person Shooter that he was not trying to get on. They try to get him on the song.
So Akademiks concludes it again by offering a battle of the sources, right? Because this is all what it boils down to. He felt insecure the fact that DJ Head has a closer relationship to Kendrick than Akademiks has to any rapper, right? And he felt like his journalistic integrity was questioned when Head said, Kendrick doesn't speak to anyone, especially Akademiks, so whatever Akademiks is saying about a new Kendrick album is false. Akademiks here is saying, I spoke to Drake, he's down to fight Kendrick. If you're saying Kendrick proposed that and Drake backed out of it, let's actually arrange a real fight, because again, what Drake told me is that he's never even spoken to Kendrick, even when he tried to get him on First Person Shooter.
I'm telling y'all, Drake down to catch a fade. Y'all just tell me if Kendrick down to catch a fade, then we can set it up. Let's see who ducks then, right? This idea that Kendrick offered Drake a squabble and he turned it down is absolutely false. And speaking to the man himself, he hasn't talked to Kendrick even in the era where he was trying to get Kendrick on the song First Person Shooter. So if he hasn't talked to him then, how the f did he turn down a squabble?
And so that's what I got for you guys today, right? Akademiks implies that he is banned from LA, or at least people threatening him to be banned over these highly disrespectful comments he made about Nipsey, trying to create false equivalencies to a rap battle that Drake asked to be taken further, asked in Tupac AI vocals for Kendrick to say he likes them young. And this is all just Akademiks sad that at the end of the day, his artist, Drake, the one who he's writing for, is lying to him, spreading false narratives that make Akademiks look stupid, while all DJ Head was questioning was simply, when you have your platform, what do you actually do with it? Are you here to spread positivity, put people on, build an empire, or make it all about yourself and feed your own narcissism? And DJ Head responded with a clip of no one better than Nipsey Hussle, who was actually speaking on Akademiks before he passed, and I think he summed it up perfectly.
But it's like, the public should not even react to clowns. The public should follow the real and the real nigga ain't reacting, so y'all don't react.
Exactly.
Just, put this dude on goofy time and just let him sit over here and do what he's doing until that shit expire, because it always gonna self-destruct, clearly. You know what I mean? So,
and here we are.
And that's all I got for you guys today. Eventually, the goofies will self-destruct, and the truth will erupt. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I will catch you in the next one.